Hi guys, and welcome back to another video. Today we are going to be doing a little rundown of one of my favorite authors. I have read all three of her books that are out within the last year, and I wanted to share my thoughts, my reviews, and my takeaways from them. But first, I'm actually going to head to Trader Joe's and maybe Barnes & Noble, and I'll probably do a little haul for you guys afterwards. Let's get right into it. Alright, listen. The inevitable happened, and to say the least, I came out with way more than I was anticipating getting in the first place. So, as you can see, I got some of my favorite flowers. I am a sucker for tulips. And it's spring. And for the boring stuff that I got at Trader Joe's. Basically veggie straws. I realized I had no food in my house this morning, and I was starving. So I ended up getting lunch and more food for later. I got this mango juice stuff. Love it. But then I also got my favorite chicken wrap. I eat it every single time that I go there. I just have to. It's a thing. Off-brand pretzel thins. Pretzel chips. Cream cheese for girl dinner. Raspberries. These are my favorite fruit. Alright, come on. These things, amazing. Pop them in the microwave, the air fryer, the oven, stovetop. So good. I love me some potatoes, and those are the best. Oat milk, necessity. Salmon. Rice to go with the salmon. And who was gonna tell me these things were $4? Gigantic bag. You could take the beach. What's $4? I had no idea. I never was gonna buy one. I never planned on it. I was like, that must be so expensive. $4. Okay, so from Barnes & Noble, I went in telling myself that I was literally only gonna get one book. And guess what I did? Yeah, so I got two. Way too expensive. Did not need to spend that much money. I can never find these ones at my used bookstore. You know, I just had to, right? Just had to. Last but not least, I got this book club candle. I think it's the closest candle that I could get to smelling like pages of a book. I love that smell, and I have not been able to find a single book candle that says that it's supposed to smell like this, and it actually does. And this is the first one, and it's cute. Let me show you. It comes in this little can, which maybe I can reuse as like an actual cup. So that concludes the haul for today, and now we're gonna get into my review of all of Sally Rooney's books and everything that you need to know about them. I read the books in the order of Normal People, Beautiful World, Where Are You? Last but not least, Conversations with Friends. I definitely think it had an effect on the way that I view her writing as a whole, because, I mean, at first I couldn't even get into Normal People. I didn't really understand what it was and why her writing was the way that it was. No light bulbs were going off. So I saw that Normal People was a Hulu series, and I started watching it, and I was like, wait a second, hold on, that makes so much more sense. Let me go back to this book. So I read the book, and I fully grasped everything that it was trying to convey. I actually understood her writing, even with no quotation marks. It surprised me how much I actually liked it. I've never read anything like it before. It's probably my favorite one out of all three of them, especially because it has a Hulu series. You can definitely connect with it a little bit more, especially just visually seeing something instead of just imagining everything in your head. I think because I was able to get into this one and understand her writing style, I was able to understand these two. I feel like if I tried to start off with one of these, I would never read her other books. I think that reading her books definitely depends on the person, and it's not for everybody, and I get that. Starting off with A summary of Normal People. Basically, it's these two characters, Connell and Marianne. They're teenagers and they're in high school. Connell is popular and Marianne is the weird kid. Nobody really likes her. They think she's really rude and just ridiculous. But the thing is, nobody really understands her except for Connell. They have known each other for a while. Connell's mom is Marianne's mom's maid or housekeeper. So they've kind of known each other in secret. They kind of have this little bit of an understanding for each other behind the scenes of high school, and they develop this relationship that is still behind the scenes. You really get to dive deep into the way that they understand each other throughout high school to adulthood. It's really interesting because she packs so much into this little 273-page book. It just blew my mind. She has the talent for saying so much in so little words. I think that is something that is so hard to do. A lot of people like a happy medium of details and also short enough to where it's not too much details. She definitely does a really good job of packing that punch, getting the point across, really straightforward, packing so much emotion and detail and life into this book. I gave this one 5 stars, mostly because of the way that I could relate to it. I know that sounds scary. Okay, listen up. Listen. I'm saying I like it because of the mental health aspect. I think I definitely relate to them struggling when they're coming of age and trying to find their feet in the world while also trying to find each other and find themselves. That was definitely not necessarily eye-opening for me, but it felt nice knowing other people feel that way. Getting into Beautiful World, Where Are You? I gave this one 4.75 stars. I think that this one is definitely a little harder to read, a little harder to get into because it's not super fast paced. A whole bunch of things aren't happening at once. We're following 4 different characters, mainly 2 women who are writing each other emails back and forth. They've been friends for a very long time. You get to see a lot of their viewpoints on the world and what is going on around them and their relationships. I would say, honestly, if I had written this book for this one, I would have labeled this one Conversations with Friends, because I feel like this one definitely is a lot more centered around conversations that they have with their friends and their lovers. I would say this is very beautiful in the sense that they're trying to believe in a beautiful life existing because they're going through so much. It's kind of giving them a harder time to see the beauty in life, and I think that that's something that a lot of us go through in our everyday life as well, so it makes sense. I definitely could relate to the characters a little bit. I don't think that they had necessarily much development. They were pretty much the same throughout, but you get to see their mind processes and how they get through everything that they're going on with their relationships and stuff. This is also the longest one. It doesn't necessarily pack a punch. I think it is really good though. It has a lot of good key points and things to take away. And then we have Conversations with Friends. I gave this one 5 stars. This story also packs a little bit of a punch, but in a completely different way than Normal People does. I'd say these 2 books are very different, yet so similar. Normal People, I feel like, is more of a normal story, you know? I mean, that's why it's called Normal People. In Conversations with Friends, I would say if you don't really like the idea of reading something morally gray, like morally gray events, characters, insufferable characters, if you don't like that, then I wouldn't necessarily recommend this book to you. But if that intrigues you, absolutely go for it, because I loved this book. There were so many good phrases, so many quotes in here that made me just stop and think, wow, that makes so much sense. I feel like Sally Rooney in general has a really good way of doing that. Her writing is just that good. I'd say out of the 3 books, I'd highly recommend this one and this one if you're really wanting a good dialogue, a good conversation with friends, you know? Like you're sitting amongst the group, talking with everybody, sharing your experiences. That's what you can take away from this book. A lot of viewpoints about the world that either you may agree with or you may disagree with, but I think that it has a lot of good conversations in here that need to be talked about. I'd say this one, also a lot of good conversations to be talked about, but I completely understand if you don't want to read this one. Or if you start reading it and you don't like it, understandable. But I think there's so much that you can take away from this. Just the fact that it's so raw. It's reality, honestly. There's people like this that exist. There's sticky situations that people get themselves into all the time that end up like this. I honestly commend Sally Rooney for being so good at packing a punch and saying so much in so little words. That is my honest review of Sally Rooney and her books. I enjoyed all of them. I can't wait for her new book to come out in September. That's extremely exciting. It's called Intermezzo, which is such an interesting name considering the rest of her books' names are so straightforward. I'm interested to see what Intermezzo means. I haven't looked it up. I'm wondering what kind of book it's going to be. If it's going to be a story or if it's going to be, you know, another bit of insufferable characters, or if it's going to be something just completely different than she's done before. I can't wait. Thank you so much for watching.